live a little bit longer. So
No worries, man.
Cool. So now we're live. Welcome to the show. We got Clayton and Corey. I think, Corey, this is my first time talking to you. So how are you doing?
Yeah, pretty good, man. Good to meet you.
Yeah, likewise. The book is Cozor, and you guys are doing very well. I gotta get over to the correct one. So 18,000 US dollars. Is this your first campaign?
Yeah, first campaign. Right out of the gate.
That's really good. For your first campaign. That it's like, I don't know. It's always hard. People say, well, how do you define success for a campaign? And I think success for a first campaign is different than success for like your fifth campaign, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So to me, I'm like, you got 2 days left, and these 2 days are going to be the biggest, you're going to get a lot more backers. I think. Have you started to see it increase?
Yeah. Oh man, absolutely. Like the last 2-3 days, we've seen like 20 new backers jump on board, maybe more than that. So we're absolutely stoked, man. Like we knew to set our expectations at a modest level going into our first campaign, and we didn't expect that we would get such an influx of support on our first time out. But Comicsgate really came through for us. They got behind us and really showed their support in a big way. And what all this means is that Corey can keep on working on Cozor with a little less stress as far as finances go.
A lot less stress, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money for me, so it's pretty good.
Yeah. That's great. That's the thing is just getting people forget to factor in the fact that it costs the production. You know what I mean? Paying an artist, it costs money, and a colorist and a writers should get paid. Eventually at some point you should get paid. And so all of that factors into the cost. It's not just printing a book. So
for sure.
Obviously this art is worth the money. So great. This is up there. This is one of the best. This is like the top tier, I'd say, in Indiegogo. There's a bunch up there, but you guys are among them. These are really nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I know that you're honest about your thoughts on comic books, so I really do appreciate that coming from you.
Absolutely. Sometimes I don't think I'm mean if I don't like it, but I just generally I find you only have so much time, so I'll find time for the books that look better.
Totally, you don't hold back. No, I appreciate it, man. Like it's people like Ethan Van Sciver that inspire us, John Malin, who are putting out really high like Fatal You and Charlie. Like these books have amazing visuals, and it's really what comic books should be. Right, I've been talking a lot today, so sorry if I'm getting tongue-tied a little bit, but yeah, man, it's amazing stuff, and so we're really happy to be able to bring Cozor to the table, and we certainly don't want to disappoint anybody. And if you like what you see in the campaign, I can guarantee you that you're going to absolutely love what you see when you're holding this book in your hands.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So Corey, you're the artist on Cozor. How'd you get so good? Is this your first book? Have you done books before?
Well, basically I'd actually done the whole book myself, like wrote it and done all the artwork originally. And so for this Indiegogo, like Clayton's just like the amazing editor redoing some of the artwork and dialogue and everything for it.
Nice. Looks good. And one thing I've been paying more attention to, so I'm trying to get better at my own art when I have time to work on it. And one of the big points, I think, because I'm getting so used to looking at campaigns and sort of evaluating portfolios, of doing that so much more now, I know like what I would want to look for. And one of those is embracing detail as opposed to avoiding detail. And that seems to be the biggest thing I see. And like, this person, their anatomy's good. That's always one thing I'm looking at. If something just looks off, then that's a turn off. I want dynamic poses and stuff. But one of the other things is when you see people consistently avoiding detail, it just diminishes their work so much. So embracing it. And I think, just this one image right here, you've definitely embraced the detail. I like that.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what's the story about?
Do you want to do it, Clayton, or me?
Well, you know what? Let's check out the trailer. That's the best synopsis, basically, of Cozor.
That prevents any tongue-tied.
Exactly.
I keep getting it's like I've pitched it so many times with Fatal. That's kind of like, I don't know. It's a book. I'm so confused now. But yeah, watch the trailer. All right, wait. I better share audio so I don't look like a total buffoon here.
Yeah.
Share
don't worry, it happens to me all the time too.
Yeah. The worst is when you get halfway through and nobody says anything, and then you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Totally. All right, here we go.
KOZOR Descent into Madness features 43 full-color pages of intricately detailed art that tells a nightmare-fueled story of foul demons, abundant bloodshed, and the insidious corruption of a warrior's psyche. The story centers around a mighty warrior named Chief Baron and his clan of savage swordsmen who embark on a quest into the sacred swamplands of Nimla in search for the mysterious Faceless People, a race of submissive super soldiers who will balance out the odds in a ruthless war between man and demon. But when they're attacked by a flock of flying beasts, their journey proves more fatal than they could have ever imagined. In this campaign, backers get no less than the definitive edition of KOZOR Descent into Madness, which comes complete with refined edits, additional story pages, retouched interior artwork, and new wraparound covers. If you're a fan of dark fantasy and medieval horror, this book is for you. Back KOZOR Descent into Madness today, only on Indiegogo.
Wasn't sure if there's anything else there. That is awesome. I don't know if I watched this yet.
Oh, really?
I think that might be the first time I watched the trailer. That was awesome. The Faceless People. Do you have a picture of one of those guys in here?
No, I don't think we actually do.
That's a great design. To me, that villains are huge. I don't know if they're the villain necessarily, but that was a cool design. It's like looked like it had like a second set of jaws like down in his throat. I guess I don't know. That was sweet.
Yeah, Corey's the mind behind them.
Well, in KOZOR, no character's really a hero or a villain. They all have their own needs once. So
yeah, I like that, man. That's cool. Very cool. So check out KOZOR. I think it says 15 people so far. I gotta share this out. Please share it out also on social media if you're watching right now. That helps us out. I don't know if notifications are getting out either. So there's a link to KOZOR. Check it out, back it, because there's only 2 days left. What are your plans for the future for KOZOR?
Well, basically, I had originally planned out like this first graphic novel was going to be about 10 issues, but I'm guessing because I keep on coming up with ideas, it's probably going to be a lot more than that. And just going to be a big series. So
that's nice.
Cool.
A lot of ideas for it.
That's great, man.
It's not going to get boring in any moment. So
yeah, there's a difference. So I've been talking a lot to people about this, like developing the one story or moving on and starting something new. Like that's always sort of the question. But kind of like the more I'm just seeing people post campaigns and just sort of build their own thing, I'm kind of realizing that there is a lot of value in having some name recognition and having a story that people have already you've already sold them on it, right? You've got like so far over 300 backers on just this one book. And so if you're building that up over time, then hopefully you carry them over. So I think there's definitely some value to that as opposed to switching around and doing a bunch of different stories. So I like that idea.
Absolutely.
How do you plan out, do you have it all plotted out for 10 issues or longer? Like, how do you plan that out?
Yeah, man. Well, like originally I'd just like done it in dot points on my phone. So I had like this massive list of dot points. And like the first time I told Clayton the story of Cozor, he's like confused as heck. But I'm like, man, like, because issue 1's like very much like a small part. It's like almost a prologue in a way. Like, man, like, because it's going to be a big book.
Sorry about that. I'm just trying to share this. My audio is playing. Very cool. So you kind of work through plot points first.
Yeah, like I almost rewrote it over and over and over again. And like, I think when it came to comic pages, I just thumbnailed them out first and get all the dialogue out that way.
Great. Very cool.
Yeah.
Right. And then Clayton, you're on for the whole run. You almost seemed surprised when he said how long it was going to be.
No, I mean, look, Corey's come along. One of the reasons that I'm actually going over the top of his artwork, panel by panel, and revamping it for issue 1 is because, it was created a little while ago now. It took him 2 years, and a developing artist is going to evolve a lot over that time. And so, Corey has come a long way since then. And by the time we're fulfilling issue 1 here, he would have started issue 3. And issue 3, the artwork looks completely different. He's really honed his skill set now. And so the amount that I'm going to need to contribute to it isn't going to be a whole lot. He's really able to handle himself at this point. Maybe he'll need to get out there more on some streams and practice the art of verbally selling comic books. But beyond that, I'm going to be able to focus on my own stuff, which I've got planned a title called Renegade Alpha, which I've drafted out the thumbnails for. It'll be a 48-pager. And this is what I'll be focusing on after we fulfill Cozor, while Corey focuses on Cozor issue 2, which is actually halfway colored at this point. It's ready to go, and it's even longer than Cozor Descent into Madness.
It's like 60 pages.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's great. That's kind of cool that you guys are brothers and kind of doing the same thing. I always think that's so fun. I've got 3 brothers, and to me, I'm always trying. I love, as adults, I love doing stuff with my brothers. And so I'm always trying to get them into comics. I've not been successful at that yet, but
I know. Even though they've seen the success of Fatal and Downcast,
not really. I mean, they're all like, "Oh man, that's cool!" Like they're proud, and they're they're happy for me, but they're still like, I don't read comics. I don't. One of them I've gotten to read a few, but other than that, they're kind of just like, "Oh yeah, no, that's your thing, man."
Totally. What do they do? Cool. What are they interested in?
I've got one brother that's into gaming, I guess. He plays games, and then my other brother's just super mature, and I don't know, he's into adult stuff,
collecting stamps.
Yes, like you do. I don't know. I've had to ask him. It just seems like he works all the time. That's all he does. But
I hear
you. But I don't know. I think they respect it. But I always thought that'd be fun to kind of team up.
For sure.
Super chat here, and then I do see a question for you guys. Alien Xenomorph for $2. Hey, thanks. Said thoughts on Micah Curtis calling Razor Fist a Nazi. This has become a meme now. I think that Micah Curtis.
I only just heard a bit about it today. I don't even know fully what it's about. So
I don't know, but I like the $2 though. So keep them coming. Anything
$2 is great.
Right. Whatever Micah Curtis says, just let me know about it. I appreciate that. Thank you, Alien Xenomorph. Here's a question. I think I know the answer, but I'll let you guys take it. How was 1,409 chosen for the goal?
That was chosen for the goal because The book was basically already done. All we needed was finances to fund the physical production of it. So the printing and the mailing out. And so we set the goal fairly low because of that. We didn't have to pay artists. We didn't have to pay writers. It was all just going to be us. And we knew that, as I said, we had to keep our expectations modest. And so we went for something that we felt was going to be manageable for our experience level and where we were at with crowdfunding comic books. And the crazy thing is like, to our surprise, within like half an hour, we had smashed that funding goal, and it's been obliterated ever since.
That's great. When you already have the art done, like that production kind of level stuff, it's like, printing and I don't know, fruits of your labor. That's pretty great.
Totally,
man.
Like
that, man. Very cool.
And I can actually open up a Photoshop file for you and share it with you just to show you like some of the changes that we're making to the original in this new high definition version.
Sure, yeah.
So I'll just get it up and ready for you. Because, Corey, he's looking forward to how this new rendition of the book is going to look as much as anybody else. It's his baby, and so I'm sitting here trying to do it justice, right? Some panels have been entirely redone, depending on how much Corey wants them changed.
Gotcha. Well, there's you're getting better as you go, right? So it's kind of I don't know. I hear that comes up a lot. Did you work out of order to do that to make it more consistent, or did you go in order as far as pages go?
I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. Well, I know for sure issue 2 is a mixed bag. It's like you want to get to the pages with like the hot ladies or something on, or a cool monster to draw. So usually drift towards those first and then do the other ones.
Totally. Yeah. So this is the original that you're looking at here. This was the first rendition of this page within the comic book. And Corey was really looking forward to me going over the top of this page. He hated the butt on this chick. And
I can draw women a lot better now, okay?
Better. He's been looking at what I've been doing and studying up on it. So this is the new version. Just let me get it up here. So you can see that there's a dramatic change here,
especially in the butt region,
the tush area. This guy over here has been repositioned and revamped as well. He's got a little bit more detail in him. The background completely redone, and down here with this eye, this was actually one of the panels that were completely taken out and then redone as well. And it's not that it was bad. Like on its own, it was going to be great. Like people were going to enjoy it. But
man,
we're excited to be releasing this for the first time as a printed version, and so we wanted to revisit it and make sure that it was the very best that it could be.
Well, and it says something a little different. I think just like the eye itself.
Totally, yeah.
There's like, that's like fury, almost.
Fury.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a little bit of a different story. I still see, there's a bit of that in this one too. But
this is more like, because here he's supposed to look shocked, right, Corey? So in this new version, he's still got that look of fury in his eyes, but there's also that fear as well. Of what's about to happen next. So man, it's really, really exciting, and it's just fixing up the anatomy on some of these characters as well. I'm having a lot of fun doing that because I don't have to think about the composition or how the characters are going to be designed or anything like that. I can focus just on making sure that anatomy looks as perfected as possible. So here we are with not necessarily changed artwork, but enhanced artwork by Corey.
Very cool. Great examples. I'm going to post the link again. If you're a moderator, I don't know if every once in a while, it's like there's no moderators around. So I don't know.
That's all right.
There's a link again. If you're a moderator, don't hesitate to post this everywhere.
Hell yeah.
And we want to make these last 2 days count. They're big. So well, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to shift gears a little bit and get
go ahead, man.
some of your
Absolutely.
opinions on
let's do it.
We'll share this. There's just Twitter stuff. It's not drama, but it's just, I don't know. I think there's a point here. So Brett Booth, you're familiar with him. He's a professional comic artist, very good artist. And he keeps teasing that he's going to do a crowdfunding campaign. And then people like Donald DeLay, he's trying to be really helpful and help him get into it. But this kind of underlines how difficult or how much of a barrier to entry there is with crowdfunding that I guess you don't think of. Comics are hard enough to make, I guess, but crowdfunding is sort of an added level of difficulty, or I don't know, or at least perceived that way. That's not that big of a deal. It's it's okay. So just a little conversation between Brett Booth here. I'm going to read a little bit and get some of your guys' opinion. So he's retweeting, this is Donald DeLay on taking gigs from Marvel and DC. Brett Booth says, but I'd say you're not actually losing money if you self-publish and it doesn't sell crowdfund. I don't understand. It doesn't sell or crowdfund and it doesn't. Then you'd be losing money because you did the work and won't get paid for it. Big two would be starting at 0, then going up, so no actual loss. So basically let's talk about the risk of crowdfunding, essentially. If you're putting work in, doing the crowdfunding, putting it out there, it's a little different than getting paid a page rate. But
I already got an opinion on that. The thing about crowdfunding is you can do your own characters. You can do your own story. If you work for Marvel and DC, you're working for their characters, you're giving them your stories, and you're art. You won't really own it. But crowdfunded, man, you own all your own shit. So
yeah.
Great point. Yeah. The other thing too is that there's not that much of a risk, or maybe people perceive the risk as being bigger than it really is. If you've done the whole book ahead of time, I guess you've already done it. If you haven't and you're only putting together a few pages, you're out of covering a few pages, essentially, and maybe a little bit of embarrassment if you fell. But
for sure.
Yeah, I think people are underestimating it.
And Marvel, dude, you get paid jack shit at Marvel. I don't know how much Brett Booth gets paid, but I know that I've looked at the rates and it's appalling, to be frank with you. And I just feel like if you're going to dump your energy and your time into something which is far more valuable than money, it may as well be an IP that you own, because you've got way more power that way. There's so much more that you can do with that.
Yeah, man.
You might make it now, it might not do well on crowdfunding, but you might launch it later on. Yeah, exactly. You might launch it later on and it may be an absolute success. You've always got it under your belt, and that's a point. I thought that Brett Booth was actually doing a crowdfunded campaign. He is working on an independent title last I looked.
I'm not sure. He makes it sound like it from day to day, and then I think he wants to. He just wants somebody else to handle it for him. That's what it kind of sounds like, and he'll kind of get to a little bit of that here further down the thread. But I don't know. And then at some point, it's I want to be helpful, and then I'm just I don't care, man. If you don't do crowdfunding, there's plenty of we'll do it.
Totally.
You just imagine, with that mindset, you'll never see an original comic from Brett Booth. You'll never know what he would have created on his own.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, if there's a fear, or I don't know, maybe a level of comfort with sticking with the original mainstream kind of publishing system.
Yeah.
He makes another point here, and that is royalties. He says you make less at first, but then later on you get royalties, from the big two, you get royalties, and it'll add up.
That's bullshit.
Yeah,
that's bullshit, man.
Tell us why.
That's basically a person on DeviantArt saying you'll get fame or some shit for doing their comic. It's you wouldn't even know for sure what royalties you get, and someone like Brett Booth, if he made an original character and he done it on his own, he'd make more money, I reckon, doing it that way than the amount of royalties he'd get from DC.
And it's kind of a crapshoot too, because you could be getting royalties or you could not. Like if you never created a character they wanted to reprint a lot or use in film or whatever, like there's no guarantee.
I think it was Shane or something. I don't know his last name. Shane Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time I seen him, he talked about how like he had a lot of character ideas that were shot down at DC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it'd be a long process. Bullshit. Yeah. Lost time and effort too. The other thing too is he's making an assumption that you're not going to get royalties or the equivalent of royalties by doing your own thing. I can tell you now that's just not true, because now I've got 2 books in print. They're in my closet right now, and I ship them out to people as they buy them, and then I've got a 3rd book, and so I can clearly see over time, it's going to be a long tail of people just ordering them little bits at a time. But this is another reason why I think it's a good idea to develop Cozor and continue doing it, because you're going to actually send people back to buy your books that you've already printed,
And like the biggest kicker of all, like, because they're so like SJW, both DC and Marvel, you'd never be able to draw a hot chick in mainstream. It would suck to work for them, man.
Yeah.
That's true. It would be lame.
You don't get the option.
You'd have to draw a safe space. That's what you'd have to draw.
What if they offered you Squirrel Girl? You could get royalties. Think of the royalties.
Dude, you'd get Clayton would get cancelled straight away. I'd get cancelled straight away. To draw any sexy pose of her.
Dude. Yeah.
Do a sexy Squirrel Girl. I've seen a few fan art renditions that I think would sell better, but
totally. Let's do that, Corey. We should get some attention.
You could do that. You could fan like art contest.
As a sexy safe space piece where she's just saying, get out of my space, but she's like full on hot. Like a circle around her.
Totally.
You could do that. Commit to it. All right. So getting over here to Donald DeLay, he's so nice too. Donald, he's come around on Twitter. I saw some. Have you guys followed him for very long?
Yeah, I think I was checking some stuff out that he was posting the other day. Yeah.
He's so mature now, but a couple of years ago he was always like, he's funny no matter what. But it's just funny how now I see people like, Donald, you're such a pro, and it just shows that you can totally change your public perception with
absolutely
a few months of hard work. So I got hats off to Donald. He's done a great job. I loved following him before though too, I gotta say. But he says, awesome. Just thought the hypothetical info discussed in it would interest you guys. And what if guys, come on. What if thought number crunching exercise at the least? Looking forward to LSP. Is that his book?
That's his book, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So no, that was pretty close to what I had budgeted for a 25-pager initially. Talking about doing a 25-page book for his crowdfunder. And I did forget about the pre-press stuff, which is an expense too that comes up. I've heard edits are usually closer to 1,500 or so. Edits?
Oh, what?
I don't know what editor he's got, or if he's talking about pre-press edits. I don't know. That's a lot of money.
That's another thing I hear about is shitty. All the editors in DC and Marvel are like knobs.
Yeah. The thing I like to do is I hire an editor and then they work for me. They can tell, they can tell me like, hey man, this is wrong. You got to fix this, that kind of stuff. So they get paid for, but they're ultimately not, they're not going to shoot down your story. You got to do what you want. So
of course.
That's expensive though. Gosh.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's crazy
for 25 pages.
Man, I feel like Brett Booth could edit his own book. Just like show a couple other people, get their opinion on it. Does it make sense to them? And
it's 25 pages too. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not a novel like that.
Yeah.
That's doable.
Wait, did he get paid 1,500 for the whole book? 25 pages.
I don't know.
He's talking about an editor.
An editor. I thought. I heard edits are usually closer to 50.
Oh, right. Fair enough.
I hope not. That would be really sad. So then he gets into fulfillment, and that's another thing. And this is where I got tagged into it, so that's why I'm looking at it. Yeah, he was saying you can have John Malin do fulfillment for you, or no harm in budgeting for it. You'll probably just be better off doing that yourself, which I totally agree. I think I'd have to have awful lot of backers before I'd pay someone else to do it, because they will take all of your money. It's ridiculous. I would just do it yourself. And part of that is, he said, take a week or two, which is that's kind of how I do it. He said, nah, I live too far out, so I don't go to town often enough, and storage is an issue out there. Plus a week or two, if I draw almost every day, I fall out of the groove, and restarting is hard.
Oh, really? Damn, I didn't know that. Maybe I should be drawing more, more regularly.
Maybe I think maybe he's got a little bit of a point there with the drawing thing. I don't know, but
it's weird.
It's worth it. I really think it's worth it. The other thing too is that there's an assumption, and I see this a lot, even from pros, and sometimes especially from pros, that they're going to sell enough books that it'll justify having someone else fulfill it for them. When I've seen an awful lot of cases where they're selling fewer backers than many of us are in indie comics.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, man. Like
didn't Rob Liefeld get screwed or something?
Yeah,
he didn't sell as much.
He didn't sell that much. I gotta look it up. Let's look up. It was on Kickstarter first.
Yep.
And it didn't. I'm trying to remember what the name of that book was. Is it Brigade?
Yeah, I think it was Brigade.
Comics and Illustration.
Which was a great book back in the day. I really loved the way that his 90s stuff looked. Rob Liefeld. It had a certain flavor to it. These days, I don't know what's going on with it. It's not the same.
I don't think I've even seen it, to be honest, man.
Yeah, it's one of the first US comics that I came across. I think I got it at a market stall or something. And it had ultra violence in it. That's what I loved about it. I was like, man, I shouldn't be reading this.
The other thing is he got it out to comic book shops before he got it out to, let me think. He didn't get it out to his backers first. He got it out to people at a convention first.
Yeah, I think that's a weird thing to do.
And still not every backer has it.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's unfortunate. But you make a good point. What amazes me is that people like you and I and Corey, we're coming out for the first time. We haven't been in the comic book business for decades, and we're still seeing this incredible success. So what crowdfunding has done for us is really evened out the playing field in a huge way. So that's why I'm not afraid of pros like Brett Booth, like anybody coming over from the mainstream and bringing their audiences with them into crowdfunding. Because when you're looking through that Indiegogo library, what you're seeing are visuals, and you see those visuals before you see the name of the creator. And so that's what's going to sell your book.
Absolutely.
Man, this looks pretty bad. This looks nowhere as cool as his old stuff. It almost looks like the designs for Safe Space. And then if you think about
it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Come on, man. Those suits are matching.
Look how wordy this is. That's the other thing too, is I don't know why people do this. Just all this text. They're smart. But I mean, he ran a successful campaign.
Cool. That's cool, yeah.
562 backers. That is not enough to justify having someone else fulfill it for you.
With Rob Liefeld's level of fame, it should be in the millions, man.
It should. Yeah. It's wild. And then he's kind of shot himself in the foot, because for future campaigns, I don't think he has future campaigns, frankly, because he kind of botched this one.
Yeah.
This is just one example.
Man, what's with the hands on that character, man? It just reminds me of Ben 10. Like the big blue hand.
It's fine. It's a character design thing.
But
it's
anyway,
not too bad.
I mean, I am a fan of him, but
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't really interest me. And he did post this on Indiegogo too, but I don't think it made very much money there either. It was sort of like a second chance thing. But there are a ton of examples like this.
Yeah. I mean, but you're right. Like, yeah. Well, it's piss poor for his level. Like, you would expect way more.
Rob the Replicator has almost made as much as that on his last campaign.
How many backers did you have on your last campaign, Rob? Or,
Rob.
Clayton. I'm looking at Clayton and calling him Rob. Sorry, guys. How much did he make?
I think it was like he got up to 600 or something.
I don't know, man. I don't think it was.
He said it was like back in demand stuff or something.
I think it was. Oh, maybe you're right. I'm not sure, man. I'd have to double check
because he had it on his stream.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Yeah. Well, again, there are a lot of examples. Let's see, Replicator. Look it up.
You're beating him big time, Clint. Like,
I beat him on my first campaign.
509.
Yeah, so
I was thinking either 609 or 509.
Close though. But when you think about it, going through the 90s and selling $1 million on a comic or whatever, I can't remember how much Rob Liefeld made, but he made an awful lot of money, sold a ton of comics, and then to go to crowdfunding and it just doesn't transfer. What do you think that is? Opinions? Why can it transfer? Why doesn't it transfer?
The level of fame.
I think it's how he treated the fans, man. Like you're saying, like the people aren't satisfied with it. Like the characters are not. Oh, you go, Clayton.
Dude, you know what I think it is? I think that people put too much expectation on fame, and I don't think it's worth as much as a great looking product, right? Yeah. I think if you create a great looking product and you treat the fans really well and you're interacting with them, like that's the thing, right? Like I know that Rob Liefeld has started his podcast, and that's a great move. I would say that he's learning from past mistakes. And I think that if you're a larger creator, you've got to do exactly what we're doing. It's no different. Like your previous experience is going to get you so far. Your reputation will get you so far. But this is a whole different arena here. It's a very different world. It's not the mainstream industry anymore. It's crowdfunding, where it's like the Mad Max version of the comic book industry. And people are going to have their own cliques. They're going to have their own fan bases. And, there's a lot of potential there, but you've really got to figure out how you're going to need to navigate throughout that new land, because it is new. It's kind of like taxi drivers versus Uber. It's like video stores versus Netflix. It's a whole different ball game. And to be successful in any level of innovation, you've got to be able to adapt. And it's amazing because we haven't even seen the fallout from 2020 and the effect that it's going to have on the industry long term.
Right.
Dude, I was just gonna say it's funny you put it that way, Clayton, because the taxi drivers did bitch about Uber, but Uber took over anyway. Yeah. So it's like the mainstream's bitching about Comicsgate, and Comicsgate's gonna kind of take over it. So,
right. And that's why there really is something. They try to make it about identity politics, or like you're a bigot, like if you criticize the industry, which is the weirdest thing. But I really do think it's about sales and it's about power. How much power do they have in the industry, and they're losing it.
Big time.
Even Ethan, he just said recently, I think it's probably the last stream when he was streaming with your boy Zach, but he said that he has to keep promoting because if he stopped, he would lose fans. Even Ethan.
100%, man.
Yeah. And I think like he could do well. You could coast off of what you've got, depending on how high you get. But why would you want to do that?
Yeah, people forget, man. People forget about you after a while, and it's because they've been bombarded with so much content these days. Like, we loved Mark Silvestri, Todd McFarlane, and Rob Liefeld and stuff, but I mean, how much has happened since then, and how much noise is there now in comparison to back then? A lot of people point to Ethan's past in the comic book industry and they credit that as being a big part of his success, but I don't think that's the truth at all. He has a great character. Cyberfrog is a kick-ass character. I heard about Cyberfrog before I heard about Ethan. And the second component is he's always out there on his streams, talking with people, connecting with his audience. That's what has made him the success that he is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of good points in there, but they're all things that they're not willing to do themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially, is what it comes down to.
It's hard, man.
Well, and the case of Rob Liefeld, if we're thinking, I won't pull his up again. We're talking about the character design a little bit. Even if he had everything the same how it was, promoting the book and getting on streams and talking about these characters in the same kind of way that you see like Ethan do or Zach do or you guys have done, talking about those characters, you actually sell it more. You know what I mean? People come to be more familiar with them, and it makes them better characters for it.
Absolutely. People are talking a lot about how these streams that we're doing are kind of like the new form of conventions, especially for comic skaters and people who are in the crowdfunding game. And I agree with them. Sometimes you get hundreds, if not thousands of people lining up to watch an interview with a creator, to watch Ethan, to watch your boy Zach, to watch John Malin. Or Cecil, right? That these big celebrities that are out there right now, and people are like, they'll get bitter and they'll say, well, we want to make comics, we don't want to focus on becoming e-celebs. But it's like, oh, look, you can have the best comic book in the world, it can be amazing, but if you don't get yourself out there and you don't got no audience to show it to, it's not going to see the kind of success you're hoping for. I think that when you're an independent comic book creator, you're a businessman at the same time. Unless you're going to hire an entire PR team, you've got to get out there and promote the book as well as creating it. And if you're an artist and you're a writer and you're also a promoter, that's a really tough gig. But if you are able to hire out your artist, you're able to maybe write the book, at least you've got that time there to promote it as much as possible. Yeah.
And you don't have to do it the same way that others have done. You know what I mean? You make it yourself. People are, it's pretty transparent and they can see if you're trying to play a role, you know what I mean? Or if you're being yourself. I've said this a million times. I always think it's funny. Like your boy Zach will mention me in videos and he'll always be like, he's got no person or the personality of a potato or something like that, or mashed potatoes. Yeah. That's what it is. But I mean, he's kind of got a point. Like I'm just a regular dude I make videos, I have an opinion, and I make comics.
Absolutely.
And I'm not pulling in $1 million or anything like that, but I'm successful and I'm growing. And so I don't know, to me, I'm a good example of you just work with what you have, you know what I mean? But as long as you're doing it, people connect.
You should be proud, man. Like, I mean, you came at this, you brought out Downcast. It did well. You did Downcast 2, did even better, and now Fatal is blowing everything out of the park. And you did that all on your own without previous industry experience, I'm assuming. And
I've never worked in comic. They wouldn't let me in,
Totally. Like you're an example. You're an example of the kind of success that a completely independent, unheard of comic book creator can achieve. But you put in the hard work. You've got your channel, Sweetcast, and you're on that every day doing videos, and it's paying off for you, man.
Yeah.
And people might look at you and bitch and complain about not being as successful, or you've been around for longer or whatever, but you know what went into this.
Yeah.
And
you see the tip of the iceberg. I think
exactly.
And that's when okay, so I've been seeing a lot of crowdfunding campaigns come out that no effort is, they just put them out there, and I think you're going to start seeing more pros that I've already seen pros that have done this. I don't want to point people out, but they throw out a campaign because they think that's what it takes, as you put out a campaign that looks good. That's nice, but it's not. Like, most of the work under the surface is just like you have to promote it every day before you even launch it. You're promoting it every day.
Exactly, man. It's tough, and it takes learning as well. Internet marketing is basically what we're all doing here. Doing collaborations, interviewing one another, and I think that Comicsgate is a movement that is quite unique in many ways. You've got a lot of creators who are, all promoting one another, but then part of that is, of course, the audience itself. The audience is Comicsgate too. And so we really have cultivated our own little industry here that has managed to sustain itself through and weathered it's the events that we've seen in 2020 when the mainstream industry hasn't. So this is getting bigger and bigger, man. Your campaign has earned more than ever. Cyberfrog Wreck Planet has earned more than ever. Graveyard Shift 3 has earned more than ever. And so it's not slowing down. It's an exciting time for us.
Absolutely. So I know you guys have to go soon, right?
Yeah, we got to go like in a minute or two, unfortunately. But
no, I appreciate you guys for coming on. I'm sure you feel in the same way. I'm a little streamed out, so I kind of sometimes feel a little scatterbrained. So you have to apologize, or you have to accept my apology for that.
Good,
but check out Cozor, everyone. I'm going to post the link again. Seriously, this book looks great. These are examples of guys that have done it right. I think you guys are going to pass 20K. I would bet money on it that you're going to pass 20K here pretty soon. And that's a successful book, especially for a first book. That's great.
Thank you, man. Yeah, thanks, really, man. Appreciate it. You've supported us as well right from the beginning, and we were watching your channel long before we launched, and so you were kind of like this dude that we also looked up to, and to have your support on this really means a lot. So thanks for having us on today and for having our back on day one when we launched.
My pleasure. Again, great looking book. So I don't know, it makes it easier for me when the book looks good. So I appreciate it and appreciate the kind words. So check it out. I don't know how I might do this. I might close down the stream and start up another one, or maybe I'll just continue the stream. I don't know. I'll close it down. Maybe I'll start another one. Because why not? I've got a night for streaming, so I'll do it. But appreciate you guys very much. And we're going to be next. What's the next stream?
We are actually going to be on Jimmy Reyes's channel, Page One Studios, I believe. So I don't think he's officially a part of Comicsgate, but we know Jimmy through some of the through the inking tutorials that he has done, and some of the work that we've done with him as well. So really looking forward to it. A friend of David Finch's. We're a big fan of David Finch, so it should be good.
What's the name of his channel? He's Reyes? Is he? I think
it's Page One Comics. Jimmy Reyes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Nice. That'll be great. Well, it looks like you picked up a backer. I don't know. The number jumped up, so you got at least a backer. Congratulations,
awesome,
guys.
Man.
That's great.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, guys. Appreciate the support. We'll catch you later, Clint. Thanks a lot for that.
See, man. We'll see you all later. I'll be on another stream soon. Coming. Bye, everyone.